the Assembly at the vote in relation to policing injustice, but I have to say this and put it on the record, that there is a lot of disappointment in Northern Ireland today at the stance of the Ulster Unionist Party, which is now a sister party of the Conservative Party, who did not support policing and justice. That seems very hypocritical, and it is very sad that they took that decision. But we are where we are. On the face of it, Mr. Deputy Speaker, this bill is short and fairly technical. It amends Section 47 of the Northern Ireland Act 1998 to allow the Northern Ireland Assembly, if it so wishes, to delegate responsibility for the salaries and allowances of its members. I think, and my party believe, that this is a wise move and one which will be widely welcomed. Politicians should not be responsible for setting the level of either their salaries or allowances. But the bill also makes another important amendment to Section 47, and it is that to which I wish to speak. Subsection 5 of Clause 1 of the bill will amend Section 47 to ensure that if a person is an MLA, as well as being a member of either house of this Parliament or of the European Parliament, he or she will not receive a salary from the Assembly. That is already our position, and the party has made that very clear. Even before this amendment was proposed, the Democratic Unionist Party have had, of its own volition, stated that any member of this House who would be a member of the Northern Ireland Assembly after this election would not be taking any salary from the Assembly whatsoever. Therefore, I warmly welcome this proposed change. It puts into legislation what we have already indicated we would do voluntary. Other parties had not set out their position as clearly. If a member of this House is also a member of the Northern Ireland Assembly, he or she not being paid for the latter. For my part, since being elected to this chamber, I have donated the Assembly salary to many causes and youth organisations within my own constituency. That's on record within the Assembly and the press. And I'm glad to say, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that up until this point in time, in my own constituency, my own elected friends and donations have contributed to well over £20,000 this year alone within the Upper Bann constituency. So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the reputation of this Parliament and that of the local United Kingdom assemblies and of politics in general has been seriously damaged by all the recent controversy and heated debate across the nation about politicians' expenses and so on.
Yes, I will give way. Does the honourable gentleman agree with Sir Christopher Kelly, who told the Assembly Standard and Privileges Committee that any new body appointed to regulate salaries and allowances should also have the power to investigate any alleged wrongdoing without a formal complaint being made, to add to the transparency and accountability he refers to?
I thank the honourable member for that intervention, and of course I agree 100% on our party's on record in saying that. Mr. Deputy Speaker, every political party has had cause to be embarrassed by the events of last year. Sometimes that embarrassment has been a result of guilt. On other occasions, that embarrassment has been the result of wrongdoing. But nonetheless, politicians need to understand that the world has changed and expectations have changed. Politics and politicians need to change too. And my party set out a series of proposals some time ago aimed at reform. Our suggestions incorporated salaries, allowances, accommodation, employment of staff, outside employment on the part of MPs, and the operations and oversight of the Fees Office. We were attacked by our political opponents even as we did so, yet many of those who attacked us were content to take little or no action themselves. We made a full submission to the Kelly inquiry and are totally committed to supporting the implementation of those recommendations in full. The DUP remains fully committed to ending dual mandates. We have taken the lead on this matter. Unfortunately, other Northern Ireland parties have not committed themselves. As a growing and thriving party, there are many within the ranks of the Democratic Unionist Party who have the potential to play a very significant part in politics in Northern Ireland. We want to nurture and develop that rich and diverse pool of talent, and that is what we are currently doing. So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, it is clear that we have already embraced the spirit of the bill before us today. We are already moving towards implementing one of its core provisions and going beyond it. The same cannot be said for other political parties in Northern Ireland. While they snipe at the Democratic Unionist Party, they are, it seems, quite prepared to maintain a double-jobbing mentality. The Ulster Unionist Party contains within its ranks several representatives who have more than one job. Some are farmers, some are antique dealers, and their party leader is a councillor and an MLA. And indeed, Mr. Deputy Speaker, in the past we had double jobbers like my predecessor, the now Lord Trimble, who was an MP, an MLA, and the First Minister. Not a single person ever raised a single criticism of him on that matter from these benches. Not one. There are, however, many people back at home in my own constituency of Upper Bann, who were very critical of the fact that despite holding so many offices and despite having access to many allowances, he decided that a single part-time constituency office on double yellow lines at the busiest set of traffic lights in the town of Lurgan in my constituency was sufficient constituency provision for them. As can be seen from that, Mr. Deputy Speaker, yes, there are serious issues about how many chambers politicians represent their constituents in. But there are also very important issues about the level of provision and the kind of representation politicians actually give to their constituents. In conclusion, Mr. Deputy Speaker, as I said at the start of my speech, the bill before us today is a step in the right direction. More steps will be needed, whether by legislation in this House or by some other mechanism for another day. But I am, and my party is on record in welcoming this step forward, and I am more than happy to support the bill.
Sir Patrick Cormack.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, everybody who's spoken up to now supports the bill, and so